Welcome to Lakeisha's Beautyland, where we focus on the inner work that makes us outwardly beautiful. I am Lakeisha R. Collins, founder of Beautiful Me Ministries, a Christian organization geared towards helping women and girls find healing, wholeness, and healthy self-esteem through Jesus Christ. Thank you for tuning in again. I am continuing the As a Woman Thinks, Controlling Your Thoughts Through Christ series, and we are on episode 2. Last episode, I talked about understanding the power of our thoughts, because before we can learn to control our thoughts, we first need to understand that our thoughts are powerful and how powerful our thoughts are. So just to recap from the first episode of As a Woman Thinks, we talked about understanding the power of our thoughts and how we live from the inside out, and how our thoughts determine our beliefs determine our actions determine the course of our life. I referenced the placebo effect and how you can go to the doctor, take a pill, and believe that that pill is helping you get better, when in actuality that pill was only a sugar pill and had no real medical power. But you begin to feel better because that is what you believe. Your thoughts believe that that pill was making you feel better. So it wasn't the pill that produced your the alleviation of your pain. It was your thoughts that produced that power. So we are continuing this week, and I want us to understand where our thoughts come from. Our base scripture for this series is Proverbs 23:7, that says, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he." Last week, we established that this particular scripture is not necessary in context, is not talking about how whatever we think is what we will manifest in our lives, that it would. In context, this scripture is talking about how a person's real thoughts or real character is not always visible in their outward actions, but that the truth of who they are and the truth of how they feel is in their heart. But I believe that this scripture can be used for dual purposes, and I also believe that it can be used as a standalone to also mean that whatever we think in our minds is what we manifest in our lives. So yes, as a man, as a woman thinks in his or her heart, so is he or she. Our thoughts manifest what we do, what we believe in our waking life. So this week we're going to talk about, where do thoughts come from? It is understood that your thoughts, good, bad, positive, or negative, control your beliefs. Your beliefs control your way of thinking. Your beliefs control your way of being. Your way of being controls your actions. Your actions determine the course of your life, ultimately making you the sum total of your thoughts. We are the sum total of whatever it is that we are thinking in our mind. Our thoughts determine what we believe, what we perceive, what we understand, what we do, how we are. It all begins in our mind. So where do these thoughts come from? It is scientifically proven that our thoughts are susceptible to external influence. Our external environment, such as our home, relationships, media, conversations, and such, leads to a pattern of neurotransmitters firing neurons into our brain, which results in thoughts. The more we are exposed to the same environment, those neurotransmitters repeatedly produce the same thoughts. So it is, and this is how our thoughts become repetitive. And we find ourselves having the same course of thoughts from day to day, because the more we are exposed, or the more we are in particular environments that produce particular thoughts, those thoughts are repeatedly going around and around, ruminating within our mind, and we continue to think those same thoughts over and over again, because of the environment that we are in. So thoughts don't just pop into our mind. Thoughts don't just come out of nowhere. Our external environment directly influences our inward thoughts. And then our inward thoughts directly influence how we live outwardly. So again, we live from the inside out. We are influenced from the outside in, but we live from the inside out. Okay, so for scriptural reference and the importance of, so if we understand that our external environment influences our thoughts, then we also should understand that it is important what we allow ourselves to be around, the places we allow ourselves to go to, the conversations that we have, the things we watch on TV, the people that we are connected with. All of those things matter in how or what our thoughts become. So if we can understand that, then we can understand that Proverbs 4:23 is true when it says, above all else, guard your hearts, for everything you do flows from it. In this passage of scripture, Solomon is talking to his son, just giving him some words of wisdom. He was talking to him about, sexual immorality, women and whatnot, telling him like, yo, son, be careful of what you expose yourself to, or be careful of what you allow to get into your heart. And the Bible uses the word heart often in the Bible, and heart can be equivalent to mind because it's directly connected. So if I say heart, I'm also speaking of the mind. So Solomon is telling his son, like, be careful of what you expose yourself to. Be careful of what you allow to penetrate your heart, because the way that you live your life is a byproduct, is a direct result of what is in your heart. For everything that you do flows from your heart, flows from your mind, flows from your thoughts. So guard your heart, guard your mind. So we need to be careful of our external environments, because we cannot stop thoughts from entering our mind. A thought based on what you see, what you are saying, where you are, who you are around, that thought is going to enter your mind. You cannot stop thoughts from entering your mind. Now, as we go further along in this series, we will discuss how, although we cannot stop thoughts from entering our mind, we can control what thoughts we allow to stay in our mind. But we will talk about that further along in the series. But today, I want us to understand where our thoughts are originating from, because until we can understand where our thoughts are even coming from, we won't even know how to begin to control our minds. So it is important that we understand that we must guard our heart, our mind, because everything that we do flows from that place. It is important that we are cognitive of the environments that we allow ourselves to be in, because, as I previously mentioned, we cannot stop thoughts from entering our mind. So continuing in this passage of scripture in Proverbs 23, the next 4 verses give some instructions on ways that or areas that we should be aware of in how we guard our heart. So verse 24 says, keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Guard your speech. Okay? What kind of conversations are you having? What kind of music are you listening to? What kind of, what kind of people are you talking to? What is the content coming out of your mouth? What is the content going into your mind from the people that you are around on a day-to-day basis? What are you hearing? What words are being implanted into your mind? What types of conversations are being implanted into your mind? Because whatever you are speaking, whatever you are hearing is planting thoughts within your mind. And so you're wondering why you're having certain thoughts. Go back and retrace those conversations that you've been having. What type of stuff have you been reading? What words are entering and exiting your mouth and your ears? We must govern our speech, because the words that we speak and the words that we take in become the thoughts that we think, becomes the life that we live. Verse 25 goes on to say, let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. What kind of stuff are you watching on TV? What kind of movies are you watching? You know, what is the content that you are allowing to enter your eye gate? What kind of places are you going where the visuals, what kind of visuals are you exposing yourself to? Granted, there are some things that we see involuntarily. And, you know, if we can't control every external factor in our lives, but there are some ways that we absolutely can control what we take in, what we allow to enter our mind. So what are you watching? What type of stuff are you watching? What are you looking at when you're scrolling social media? We have to pay attention to the things that we are taking in, because what we are taking in becomes what we live out. All right, verses 26 and 27 go on to say, give careful thought to the paths of your feet and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or to the left. Keep your foot from evil. Where are you going? What kind of places are you frequenting? You know, what are the environments that you are walking into? All of it matters. All of it matters, because everything that we expose ourselves to externally gets inside of us. Because again, I'm going to repeat this. We cannot stop thoughts from entering our mind. We will discuss how we can control what stays in our mind, but we can't stop what thoughts enter our mind. And so we need to be careful about where we're going, what we're watching, what we're listening to, the conversations that we're having, what we're reading. All of that stuff matters in where your thoughts come from. So if you look at your life and it is not parallel to the life that you want to live, assess your thoughts. And then as you assess those thoughts, assess where those thoughts may have originated from. Assess what you may have watched, what you may have said, where you may have gone, who you may have been around that gave those thoughts entry into your mind. We can't have a healthy thought life if we are constantly exposing ourselves to unhealthy environments. You may think, oh, watching that it don't bother me. Or going here, it won't be that bad. Or listening to this, it won't be that bad. Or having that conversation, it won't be that bad. But all of that stuff plants seeds into your heart, into your mind. And that is the stuff that continues to go around and around, just ruminating in your mind, building roots into your thoughts. And then those things come out of you. From your heart, from your mind, flows everything that you do. Above all else, guard your heart. Guard your thoughts. Be mindful of where you're going. Be mindful of who you connect yourself with. Be mindful of the conversations that you are having. Be mindful of what you are watching. Be mindful of what your eyes are seeing. This stuff matters. It matters. You may think, oh, it's not that serious. It is that serious. Because all of that stuff that you are exposing yourself to becomes thoughts in your mind. And you will find yourself struggling with things, having thoughts about things, desires about things, wanting things that are not conducive, one, to holy living, not conducive to your purpose in life, not conducive to living a life worthy of the calling upon your life, that are not conducive to your well-being, that are not conducive to your growth and development. It all matters. It does matter. It is that serious. You have to be careful with yourself. Careful where you allow yourself to go, who you allow yourself to connect to, what you allow your eyes to see. These are all entryways into our minds, our ear gate, our eye gate. These are our mouth gates. These are all entryways into our minds. And the devil is slick. He is sly. He is cunning. He will slip because he's always after your mind. Always after your mind, because he knows the power of the mind, and he knows that if he can get you in your mind, he's got you. And so the enemy is slick. He is sly. He will sneak stuff in that you don't even realize. And before you know it, you are thinking things and feeling ways that you're like, where did this come from? But it came from something you saw. It came from something you read. It came from something you heard. It came from a conversation you had. It came from somewhere you went. Be mindful of these things. Above all else, guard your heart. Guard your heart. Guard your mind. You have to. You absolutely have to. We can't be just free in what we allow ourselves to be exposed to. We can't. Because the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may desire. And he's subtle with it. He's not after your house. He's not after your husband. He's not after your kids. He's not after your money. He ain't after none of that. He is after your mind. Because if he can get in your mind and get control of your thoughts, he can control your life. So be careful of the seeds that you are allowing to be planted into your mind. Guard your heart. Guard your heart. Guard your heart. When you learn to guard your heart, guard your mind, when you learn to be mindful of your external environments, be mindful of your diet, the things that you are ingesting through your eyes, through your mouth, through your ears, through where your feet go. Be mindful of those things. Be mindful of those things because they create your thoughts, and your thoughts determine the course of your life. Until next time, know that you are beautiful, you are valuable, you are worthy, and you are whole. Thanks for watching. Now do me a favor. Like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, leave me a comment, and share. See you next time.